What's going down, D-Gens? Here I am, finally actually speaking to you. I will tell you, I'm doing this while I'm driving, so if you hear some loud popping, wish me luck. But let's get into it. I hope that you guys are enjoying the AI videos as much as I'm enjoying fucking around with Sora. Honestly, probably the easiest way for me to give you guys picks, only because I can kind of type some stuff in, it pops out, you get your pick. The only thing is it doesn't really leave a whole lot of room for like rationale on them. So I'm still going to be making these videos and you guys can enjoy my sweet, lovely tones. So let's get into this week's picks. First of all, we do go 2-1 last week. And if you haven't noticed, I'm really focusing on the team totals right now. If you've been watching this channel for a little bit, you probably already know usually around this time of year, actually probably around like week 8, week 9, we do kind of a self-evaluation, do it every 4 weeks, see what's working, what's not. And usually about this time, about week 8 or week 10, is when we kind of drill down to, hey, we're going to work with this because this is what is working. Plan your work your plan kind of deal, right? So what I have been seeing is at these points as far as the team totals, number one, there is a lot of wiggle room out in the market, guys. If you look around for these team totals, one place will have something at like 26.5, and then another book will have it at 28.5. And it's a huge difference, right? And obviously, even from like 26.5 to 27.5 is a big enough difference because 27 is relatively key as far as like team totals are concerned. So look at all of your different books. I will tell you, Bovada and Bookmaker are still going to probably be your best two bets. It's something that I have really enjoyed as far as just checking them out because both of those books are total like dynamic opposites, and we have a really sharp book and a really square book, and it leaves us the most room in team totals. So a lot of times one will follow the other as far as like the overall spread, and what happens with that is that you really you kind of have a second or two or a couple minutes to make a bet on something before like let's say Bovada moves their line. The problem is it's usually juiced to hell by the time you get to it. I mean, unless you're literally sitting at your desk and watching like an odds screen, the chances of you getting it are slim to none. I mean, you would have to really be doing it full time. So there's not a lot of wiggle room there. But one thing that I have noticed is that Bovada does not move the team totals. They'll juice it to hell, but they won't move it. So like last week, one of the loss that I had was the Eagles team total over 20.5 points, and they never moved it. It went from 20 to 21 to 22.5 with Bookmaker, and I apparently heard some people say there was like a 23.5 out there for the Eagles, but Bovada just went from minus 110 to minus 170 by the time we got to kickoff. So the line is out there. Now, if you want to pay the juice, that's up to you, but enough of that. As far as the actual picks, so number one, there is one that's already out there that I have put out with Sora, and that is the Broncos under 20.5 points. A few things on this one as far as like rationale is concerned. So number one, Chiefs are coming off the bye week. There is a trend here as far as teams that come off the bye being really set on defense as far as being able to keep their opponent under the team total. Now, overall, it's 50%, right? It's 9 of 18, so 9 of these teams have kept teams under the total. However, would we remove the 2 games that have taken place that had both teams coming off a bye, right? So a double bye, that changes the number. So instead of 18 total teams, it goes down to 14 total teams, and the number of 9 still stays the same. So we have 9 of 14 teams that have actually managed to keep their opponent under their team total after coming off a bye, which is over 60%. So you have a pretty strong trend as far as just teams coming off their bye, whether it's like just coaching and preparedness or health or whatever, or just an extra week to monitor your opponent coming up and kind of see what they're doing, build the game plan around them. All that stuff really works. Now, yes, I like the Chiefs to win. Yes, I like the Chiefs against the spread. The only thing is, this is a divisional game. Now, another reason that we are taking the under is that it is the first time these divisional rivals are meeting, and usually the first matchup between division rivals is the lower scoring of the two, and that has pretty much kept up every single year, and this year is no different. So again, just another reason that we are expecting it to be a lower scoring game. And so even if the Broncos were to win this game, it would probably be like a 20-17 type game if that's the case. Now also, Chiefs of course are explosive. I'm going to expect that the Broncos try to keep their offense off the field. They're going to try to do as much as they can and kind of do like a slower play to try to just kind of slow this game down and not let the Chiefs, go run crazy with Rashee Rice. Usually teams coming off the bye actually do really well at getting over the total, and that's like a 70% trend. The only reason I'm not on that one is because, one, my numbers here say that the Chiefs are really, they're scored for their totals coming out at about 30 points. That would put us well over the over for what the expectation is. But the other thing here is, again, we have the divisional matchup, and then number two, we have the Broncos having a very good defense. So two things going against us on that one. One thing kind of working in our favor. Don't want to take the risk in that one. I'd rather just take the Broncos to stay under their 20.5 points. They actually have been doing pretty decent at home. The home record is 2-3 as far as the Broncos are concerned to the under. However, the times that they have gone over as far as their team total, they have gone over 3 out of the 5 times their team total at home. But the 3 times that they went over, guess who they played? Of course, they played the shittiest defenses in the world. They played the Bengals and the Cowboys, with the one somewhat exclusion being the Giants, where in each of those games, the Broncos went over their team total. But I will say, even at that, again, those defenses are just so poor that it's really not a whole lot that we can kind of glean from that, other than the fact that those defenses are, again, just god-awful. So we have them, again, on the under, and there's really a lot of different indicators pointing us in that direction. Now, another play here for you is going to be the Cowboys that we just talked about. They are also coming off their bye week. They're going to be traveling to Las Vegas to play the Raiders on Monday Night Football, another Monday night game for this Cowboys team. Like I just said, the over after the bye week is about a 70% trend right now. Now, pair that up with the Cowboys, who are 66% to the over anyways, as well as to the Raiders, who allow 66% of their games to go over, or 66% of their opponents to go over the team total. A lot of things all pointing this direction. Now, it probably is going to be a shootout. It probably is going to go over the total in general, which I believe is at 49 or 49.5, depending on where you want to take it at. However, if you were to grab the full game total, you are expecting the Raiders to be able to keep up their end of the bargain. And like I said, while the Cowboys defense is absolutely god-awful and they haven't shown us a damn thing the entire year, again, just going back to the trends, just strictly off the trends, the Cowboys should come this week with a better defense. Like I said, over 60% of the time, in this particular spot of a team that's coming off a bye week, the other team is not coming off a bye week, we would expect that the Cowboys keep the Raiders under the total. Now, the Raiders did play Thursday, so they had kind of like a mini bye. Don't have a lot of numbers on that just yet. But either way, I don't entirely want to take that over, only because if the Cowboys defense, especially now that they finally have an actual pass rusher with the trade from the Jets, and Quinnen Williams is going to do pretty decent, I would assume. He should be rested. And Overshown is back. That Cowboys defense could come in looking a lot better than it did when they left. So, again, I just not really enthusiastic on the Raiders getting their part done. So just give me the Cowboys over 26.5 points, and that is on Bovada. If you look at Bookmaker, it's 27.5. They're going to give you plus money for that one, but that's completely up to you as far as which one you want to take. I'm going to be at Bovada. It's minus 110 at the 26.5. I like that a lot better just because 27, again, somewhat of a key number, especially for these higher scoring teams. And as far as the Cowboys, I have them expected for 27 points. Now, that does not take into account the Raiders defense being a little porous. So when we take that into account, that does increase their expected total to just a little over 28, about 28.5. So we could, usually once we get to 28, that's kind of the limit as far as the expected points with the algorithm. Most teams, once we get to 28 or beyond, that means they could go crazy, right? So anytime I have a team expected for 28 points on here, that's when you see these guys go off for like 40 plus points. Because it kind of, you get to the end of the algorithm as far as like the very tippy top of that little bell curve, and there's not really a set limit. So there's a few teams here that are expected to get about 28 points or so. Expect those guys to at least hit their number. Actually, 75% of the teams that I have expected for 28 points have at least hit 28, and most of them have gone over. So those are the two plays for right now, guys. I probably will have a third one. There's a couple other games I'm looking at. Just keep your eye on the Sora or on the shorts that I'll be putting out. Let me know. Put the comments in there if you have any questions on why or rationale or what you're thinking. Or maybe if you're on the opposite side, let me know. Put it in there. We'll talk it out, hash it out. Maybe we can both save some money. But you guys have a great day. Thank you again for watching these. Thank you for the support. I appreciate all the views, especially on the shorts. You guys have a great day.